Good day, Chief here for kind of a combination of Chief Tells Tales and Chief Coffee Chat. I don't have coffee today, I have hot cocoa. I wanted to talk about this last week under the Chief Coffee Chats. I got to start coming up with more subjects even there. I've talked about the Constitution, where we raised our right hand, swore either affirm or swear, and support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the officers appointed above you and the President of the United States. I talked about a general last week that did not obey the President of the United States, supposedly, and he even admitted it, but that's what we're not talking about today. We're going to talk about the 14th Amendment. Like I said, I picked this booklet up sometime in my military career and kept it on me. I kept it in a binder. I don't have the binder because I'm no longer in the military, and that binder is somewhere in my war chest maybe, or lying loose, and I'll find it again and maybe see what's actually in there anymore. Because I'm going to talk about the 14th Amendment, which is everybody's harping on it right now because they're saying that executive orders can be taken to court. Now, didn't see any under Biden. I don't remember seeing any under Trump's first term. But even if they take it to court, this will go all the way up to the Supreme Court, no doubt. And I know that one side is going to leave out the last three words of the first sentence to sway their argument, so to speak. So let me go ahead and read this. Now, this was ratified July 9th, 1868. So we had a big immigration boom during the Civil War and after the Civil War. So that's probably why this was instated, to clarify some issues. There are 5 sections, but only the first one applies to immigration. And so let me read it. Section 1. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. Now, like I said, those last 3 words, wherein they reside. Now, we all know that the naturalization is one of the names for the process is to become naturalized into a country. You become part of that country. You learn their culture, you learn their history, and you learn their language. However, the United States does not have an official language. While I was in the military, we allowed certain speakers to speak in their native tongues as long as they were just talking amongst themselves. They did put out a statement that saying that all military business, i.e. briefings, letters, proposals, everything had to be in English. So you had to use the English language. You couldn't write a paper in your native tongue and expect your higher up to read it when he probably doesn't even speak that language, or let alone read it. So America does not have an official language. Now, we all sometimes insist that we get one, but we know how we are. I mean, I personally am the result of, on my father's side, both my grandfather and my grandmother naturalized the correct way. They immigrated to America and became naturalized citizens, to the point where my grandfather insisted that English be spoken in the household, from what I was told by my father. That's why my father did not learn the Dutch language. He learned pieces of it, but probably mostly curse words, because we all know that native speakers, even though they're struggling to speak American, but when they get pissed off or something, they revert to their native language. So my dad probably learned some words he wasn't supposed to learn. So getting back, so wherein they reside. Now, a lot of people are going to sit there and say, well, they crossed the border, she gave birth, so they were residing. Well, no, they weren't, because reside. Let's look up the word reside, and I pulled out my old dictionary. It's a old dictionary. I think the date is like about as old as me. Reside. Yeah, it's French. Whatever. Number one definition: to dwell for a long time, have one's residence, live as he still resides in the same house. 2, to be present or inherent. Set of qualities. Number 3, to be vested. So going off of number 1 means dwell for a period of time. Okay, wherein they reside. If you cross the border illegally and sit in a state, does not mean that you are a resident of that state. Does not mean that just because you're in a dwelling, doesn't mean that you reside. You're not paying taxes, because in order to pay taxes, what? You got to be a U.S. citizen and have a social security number. Hard to get those when you're illegal. I mean, now, yeah, they have means of getting those and everything else. So that's the key 3 words, wherein they reside. In other words, they got to be living here, not just running across the border. You enter the country illegally, you plop out a kid. That kid is now a U.S. citizen. I've never understood that, and like President Trump says, we're the only country in the world that allows that. We got to stop that. So I'm glad he did that. And I just noticed that I didn't read all of the 14th Amendment, so let me backtrack and read the rest of the Section 1 of the 14th Amendment. So I'll start over again. So Section 1, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protections of the law. So in other words, to be covered by the laws, what? You got to be naturalized and or born here previously by parents who are already here. Now, like I said, wherein they reside, that statement will probably not be read by the other side to prove their point, because, hey, it says right here, you know. No, read the rest of it, just like they like to leave out parts of conversations we've seen in the past, and then they've been not really flabbergasted, but sometimes when people show them their old clips and say, oh, by the way, why'd you cut this part out? It's because here's the whole thing. So, I mean, most of my life, I knew about us being like the only country that allowed someone to run across the border, as I said, squat out a kid, trying to keep this kid friendly. And that kid is now a U.S. citizen, so now the mother needs to stay here to take care of that kid because that kid is a U.S. citizen. No. I don't agree with that. So, you can tell me, Chief, you're crazy, you're wrong. That's in the past. Well, it's part of the Constitution. I raise my right hand to support and defend the Constitution of the United States and to protect it against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Now, one time I did ask and never received a decent answer. What is a domestic enemy? And considering this was written about 1868, we just got done with the Civil War, so now we're going to start the American Indian Wars, where we will have an enemy, all the tribes of the Native Americans, so therefore I guess that's a domestic enemy, but there's another argument in itself. I'm not going to go into it. It's in the past, it's over and done with, and it's a shame what we did to those people. That's my opinion. I've been to reservations, and it's just like, what? What? Yeah. So you can tell me I'm crazy. You can prove me wrong. Chief, you're old. Yeah, I'm older than dirt. But that's my opinion on the 14th Amendment. I'm glad Trump did it. I mean, he said it before, but I don't know why a lot of people think that just because we're the only country, we should still be unique in that. No, we don't need to be unique. Because in regards to visas, my last tour over in Germany, my mother came over to visit me, and I had to take her down to the office to let hey, my mother's here. She's here to visit. Well, we went to I can't remember the name of the office. It was run by civilians because we hire civilians for all these weird offices. And she told my mother, "You can stay here 90 days. You have to leave on the 90th day." She goes, "If you don't, the German police will come looking for you, considering that they'll have a record of this, and the U.S. government wants to keep its nose clean with its U.S. government workers over there, so we have to abide by their laws." And she actually told my mom to get around this, leave on the 90th day, go to France, go to Belgium, go to Holland, go to wherever, the Netherlands, go to anywhere for a day or two, get your passport stamped, then you can come back and we can have you stay another 90 days. My mom didn't want to do that, so she left. Now a lot of people think, well, Chief, you're blowing smoke us. No, because U.S. military members who take their families to Germany, and let's say your kids are already teenagers, so you get over there, your oldest child's got 2 years of high school left, so he's going to do his last 2 years of high school. He's going to graduate a senior. He's got 90 days to leave because he's no longer considered a dependent, because over in Germany, he's an adult now because he graduated high school. He's not going to freeload in our country, so to speak. Doesn't make sense to me either, because happened to one of my fellow warrant officers, and his kid already knew what college he was going to go to, so they did a trip stateside, got him settled to go to college in a certain town. But yeah, I guess they'll look at that graduating class and they'll tell the U.S. government, hey, these new adults, 90 days, they got to go bye-bye. Well, their parents aren't leaving. Well, too bad, they got to go. So people say, this doesn't happen in other countries. Yes, it does. If you're there, not with their wishes, you are gone. So I hope I made sense. I hope I did. Hope I'm just not rambling again. I seem to not stumble too much. I sometimes do, as we know. I don't edit my videos. You get me raw. You get me as I am. So this is Chief out. 14th Amendment. Thank goodness we got that settled. Freedom's not free. You know what to do with veterans. Thank you.